Alright guys, so I'm Fred. I do these bullshit videos about Mercedes diesel engines, like up front with Fred. They all look the fucking same like this. But I also ride bikes, and I really like bikes. Or I don't really like riding a bike actually, but I like to do wheelies. That's my thing. I think that's, like street riding. I think that's a general term for it. And that's my kind of riding. Just like going somewhere. I take the car. I have air condition, music. I can have a blowjob at the same time. Life is perfect. But for fun, the bike is great. But without wheelies, nothing gonna happen, you know. It's gonna be boring and windy and smell fucking bad. But wheelies makes it all worth it. So I'm gonna do 2 bike videos. One about turning a fucking bike, because people can't turn their fucking bike around the corner. And it just pisses me off. That like, oh, I have this fucking S1000 RR and I can't fucking turn it. So I'm gonna do a video about that, and I'm gonna do a video about wheelie. Today we do wheelie because it's fun, and I don't have to show a fucking bike. I have an old R6 standing here, and the GSXR is in the other garage. But you know, for wheelies we don't need a bike. We need to know how to wheelie. And you know, on the YouTube, you can search on YouTube and you find like 1 million fucking videos about wheeling bikes, and they're all bullshit. There's some fucking guy that don't know how to wheelie, and he gonna do a video with a fucking camera in his face, and I mean, what you gonna get out of that? Nothing. So I'm gonna tell you in fucking 10 minutes, you're gonna know it all. First of all, we have to practice. And you get that. Everybody get that. Everybody I speak to and everybody in our fucking group that have, started to wheelie, they all get that. Of course, I practice. I practice all the time, yeah. No. Practice is not trying to do a wheelie 10 times in a week. That is not practicing. Practicing is taking your bike out and doing 100 fucking wheelies. And then you go home. And then you take your bike out tomorrow and you do 100 wheelies. And you go home. And the day after that, you take your bike out and you do 100 wheelies. That is practicing, you know? This is practicing. Going out on a ride and for 2 hours. Oh, I did it 1 time, so I'm practicing. I can't do it. Yeah, fuck you. Of course you can't do it. You're not practicing. So, every fucking time you take your bike out, you do 100 fucking wheelies. This is number 1. Practice. Practice. Okay? So, how do we actually do this? How do we practice? Because that's like the hard bit. You don't know how to wheelie. So it's like you can't just imagine it. You have seen videos and you have seen the MotoGP guys when they crosses the finish line standing on their fucking GP bike and doing this 200 kilometers an hour wheelies, and it's just amazing. But you don't know how to get there. So, you have a clutch and you have a throttle. And by your left foot you have a little stick that's a gear changer. And you ride a bike so you know how this shit works. While practicing, you will use the same gear every time, and you will always pop your wheelie. We call it popping wheelies. You will always pop your wheelie at the same speed. Same gear, same speed. This is how you practice. And this is really important. And you don't go, I mean, if you have, I don't even know. I can't even imagine a fucking 125 Grom needing going in first gear. So second gear, because second gear is a gear that works on all the bikes I've tried, ever. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a supermoto or a motocross or a R6 or GSX 1000, or it doesn't matter, you know. Second gear always work. First gear, it's a lot of fucking power, and it doesn't matter what you have. If you have a fucking 40 horsepower bike, it's still, the gearing makes it so much in first gear that it's hard to control, especially for you. Second gear is calm. That is perfect. Third gear is a lot of bikes that can't wheelie in third gear. So second gear, right? I mean, it's logical when we know it. So you always use the same gear, and you always use second gear. Depending on bike, you're doing it at like 35 to 65 kilometers an hour. I know like my GSX 1000, it was like 90 kilometers an hour or something to really have it at a sweet spot when popping. But it's you know, it's depending on gearing and what kind of bike you have, but normally it's like 35 to 65 roughly. My GSX R600 is like 50 kilometers an hour, but I have a little bit bigger sprocket in the rear, so on the gauge it's fucking 75, but it's because of the sprocket it shows fucking wrong numbers, so like 50 kilometers an hour. So how do we wheel a bike? We practice. And how do we practice? We practice in the same gear at the same speed every fucking time. And because we have the same gear and the same speed, we always have the same RPM. And the RPM is like the crucial thing, because that determines how much power your engine is giving you. So you're gonna feel this really fast, you know. If you go out and you're doing 40 kilometers an hour second gear, and you do a little bit like and happens nothing, maybe you need to go 5 kilometers faster. But then again, you have to think about that your coordination between throttle and clutch is not perfect, and you don't know how much throttle you have to give. So it's not like going up and up and up and up and up in speed, and like, oh, in 80 kilometers an hour I can pop a wheelie in my R6. Because the R6 is like a 55 kilometers an hour bike. So don't go up in speed. It's better to start slow and start at 50, 60 kilometers an hour, because like all bikes is possible to wheelie at that speed. And then you can lower or higher when you start to get a feel of it. And why do we clutch up? That's like a really important thing, actually, because clutch up is what we need to do. And it's all about acceleration. That if our bike, if we don't use the clutch and we're going to accelerate, we're going to go from 50 to 100 kilometers an hour before we are even close to doing a wheelie. But with the clutch up, we're at 50 and we are at 60. That's how fast it goes. It's just pop. And if we hit the balance at 60, we're gonna stay at 60. Kilometers an hour, not miles per hour. So for you guys that are on the other side of the pond, you have to do the math. But 60 miles per hour is 100 kilometers an hour. And I believe like 60 kilometers an hour is like 40 miles per hour, 40 kilometers an hour. So, yeah. What? 40 miles, 60 kilometers an hour is 40 miles per hour. Yeah. So, we are closing in on the time. I said 10 minutes. So, how do we do it? We practice 100 times every fucking day. We use the clutch. We always use the same gear at the same speed. And we are not chasing height. If you chase height, you will crash. And crashing is not all that fucking bad, but your bike might take a beating, and that is not good. You might take a beating. Normally you get some bruises, but if you break a leg, it's fucking bullshit, you know? If you twist your fucking front rim on your bike, that's fucking bullshit. So don't crash. That's like, you know, it's unnecessary. Don't ever chase the height. You're gonna do your pop-ups like this. This is what you do. No, I can do it higher. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good you think you are. Just pop the fucking bike this much. And when you have done this 10, 15, 20 times, and that's fucking 30 minutes, you know? You just pop, oh, pop, oh, pop, oh, pop. This feels fucking great. Oh, just a little bit more. That's all needed, you know? Just a little bit more. And you do this wheelies. Bam, 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 bam. Wow. And then, fucking 40, 50 minutes later, you're gonna, this is so fucking great. You stop, you take your fucking Coke, you take it easy, you chat with your buddies, you're gonna talk about how fucking amazing your wheelie was, and everybody gonna say, But it doesn't matter, because it's practicing. And then you go out and you do a little bit more. Wow. Now people actually seeing your front wheel lifting from the fucking ground. Huh? And this is how you practice. Repeat. Just repeat. And it's going to take 1 week if you practice. 1 week. And then you're going to hit your balance point. And you're going to shit your fucking pants. Because when the bike gets weightless the first time, it's a special feeling. You know, you will never forget it. It's amazing. And then you do that 30, 40, 50 times. And you're going to be a little bit wobbly and everything going to be a little bit so-so. But then, and that is life. Whew, that is life. So now you know how to wheelie. And if you do what I say, I'll see you in a week. And you're going to be a fucking master wheelie guy. That's how simple it is. I love you. Next time we're going to talk about cornering.